This is an exciting day. Wendy has found 2 duck eggs, one yesterday and one last night, which means February 17th and 18th of 2023, we now have our first duck eggs. It's been since September of last year since we've had any duck eggs, so we're really looking forward to this. And I hope that you enjoy how nerdy we're right about duck eggs, because every time we've had duck eggs laid in the last 3 years, we've written down the number in a spreadsheet. So we're about to dive into that pretty deep. To provide some context before we get into the numbers, we started with 4 ducks in the spring of 2020, but one of the ducks passed away in the middle of 2021, and another duck passed away in the middle of 2022. So the numbers you're about to see, there's notes on there about how many ducks we had laying during each one of the years. Here you can see that our ducks started laying eggs when they were about 6 months old. Then in mid-January they started laying about 4 eggs per day, or 1 egg per duck. And then you might notice this strange thing that there's actually some days with 5 eggs, so let me pause the video here because I'd like to talk about that. The first time that we counted 5 eggs, we thought maybe we had missed an egg from the previous day, or just counting it this day. But then it happened again and again. The third time there were 4 eggs the day before and 4 eggs the day after, so we decided to read up on this. Apparently, khaki campbells, especially in their first year when their hormones are high, can actually lay more than 1 egg in a day. Back to the chart, the line turns green when we're reduced to 3 ducks. After the last wing feather molt in September, they didn't lay any more eggs until January. There was a 5% reduction in eggs laid the following year, but that could be because the duck that passed away was a khaki campbell who lays more eggs per day. I'm going to provide a link to this GitHub page in the description of the video. On here, the data that you just seen is in this data folder in the CSV file. You can see that there's the number of eggs laid by the number of ducks we had per day. I also wanted to call out that according to the American Poultry Association, white crested ducks lay between 100 to 150 eggs a year, and khaki camel ducks lay 250 to 340 eggs a year. When we compare that to our ducks, however, what we saw was the number of days where every duck laid an egg was around 110 days per year. The number of days with at least 1 egg laid was somewhere between 220 to 260 eggs a year. So that means that our white crested ducks were probably within that range of 100 to 150, but the khaki campbells were likely below the 250 range that the APA suggests that it would lay. On some days we know which duck laid which egg, but most days we don't, so this is probably the best estimate that I can make. Well, that's our experience. How many eggs do your ducks lay? I'd be interested to hear about that in the comments. Poof was eyeing this little area under here, so we'll have to check that for eggs later. Isn't that right, Roundy?